Hi. Let's see. Welcome, everyone. We're doing that. We're pinning this. Okay. All right. I am just waiting on Sonja. We'll give her a second. Hi guys, welcome to the next live Priceless Conversations, Real Talk, Real Action with Create Cultivate and Mastercard. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Thank you. As some of you may know, every week in May, Mastercard will introduce an expert as part of their Ask Me Anything program, where you guys get to ask hard-hitting questions on the Hello Alice Business for All online forum. So this week, I'm getting to talk to Sonja Rasula, who's the founder and CEO of Unique Markets, a company that creates modern pop-up marketplaces to help small business owners, designers, artists, and emerging brands all over the country. She typically gets to travel the world speaking at different conferences like Create and Cultivate, but today she's joining us online. And so as part of the Ask Me Anything with MasterCard, we got submitted a ton of questions through the Hello Alice forum, but you guys are here today, so we want to be able to answer your questions as well. So be sure to ask your questions along the way. In here. Yay, we're excited as well, especially if you guys are small business owners. Drop a thumbs up below. Hey girl.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just, living my best quarantine life. We're so excited to have you here today. I was just telling everyone who's here who you are, what you do, what Unique Markets is, and that they can drop in and ask any questions below as we sort of go down the lay of the land of all the questions that were submitted to you via the Hello Alice community. But so everyone here knows who you are and all that good stuff, but let's dive right in. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are some of the questions that were submitted via the Hello Alice community. And if you guys want to submit questions, just do them through the Q&A button at the bottom. It's the easiest way for us to kind of check them out. One of the questions was, I just started a new beautician business and haven't had the time to build a social community. Where do I start?
Yes, I love this question. Well, it's good that you know that you need to build a community. You're already ahead of a lot of other people. But my question would be like, why haven't you up until now? So I would say you are probably in a visual medium. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to social media. I think Instagram is going to be your best option because you're a beautician. You're going to want to visually show your work. And so I would say, aside from getting an Instagram account, you should probably research other people and other companies that are like you to see what they're doing. I would say research the big brands and companies that you look up to see how they use Instagram and social media. You can learn a lot by how people write their comments, the tones that they use, the color palette that they use. So I would say research other people just so you know what's out there, and then create a social media guide and template for yourself. A lot of small business owners start an Instagram account and they're just like, why am I not selling anything? And it takes a lot more than just starting the Instagram account. So you want to create a style guide and you want to figure out how often you're going to post, what you're going to post, stick within a color palette, and then just start posting and really start growing your community that way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who were just used to their brick and mortar business just didn't really think about social that much. And now it's all they have to think about. But I totally agree with you. I mean, especially in the beauty space, such a huge opportunity to be online and showcase what you're doing. I know a lot of the hair colorists and things like that I follow have been doing a lot on mannequins, which has been kind of fun to watch. So get crazy, get innovative. Okay, next question. I am pivoting my hat making business to produce masks during this time and just added the ability to people to join my newsletter mailing list on my site. How do I get traffic and people to sign up to my newsletter?
Ooh, I love this one because I'm a big fan of email marketing. Anyone who knows me knows that. So what you want to do, first of all, is make sure that you're using the pop-up technology. You probably already are, but if you aren't, you want to make sure that when visitors visit your website, they're getting that call to action to subscribe. A lot of people don't think to put subscribe in their navigation, but I believe that it's really important. Just like your About Us or your shop navigation at the top, it means that no matter what page people are on your website, they have that reminder to subscribe. So I would do that. And then when it comes to the different social media accounts that you might have, you want to also remind people that you have a newsletter and that they can subscribe there. So you kind of want to cross-pollinate between all of the different properties that you're using.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of email marketing as well, mostly because you own those emails. You can communicate with them as much or as little as you want to, and you're not relying on an algorithm.
Exactly.
So that being said, let's talk about the algorithm. So what are the best practices for how many times you should post on Instagram a week, and how do you grow your following with this crazy algorithm that we're all trying to figure out?
Yeah. So the one thing that's key to remember with Instagram is that engagement is really important, right? So when people like your post, that's great. But what helps even more is comments. They need real engagement. Instagram was born out of community and socializing, not selling. And so I personally think that you need to concentrate on making sure that you're posting regularly. That's obviously key, but that you're getting people to engage with you, because that's going to up the amount of people that Instagram is showing your posts to, which is really important.
Absolutely. Yeah. We find that the posts that get the most comments out the gate, like early on and when you post it, are the ones that show up the most. So get your mom, get your friends to comment on your post when it goes up immediately. I think that's definitely great advice. And so hashtags, do you have a hashtag strategy? Someone asked, Instagram limits me to 30 hashtags per post. How do I choose the most effective hashtags for my business?
Yeah. I kind of laughed when I got this question on Hello Alice, which, by the way, for anyone watching, is a really great resource for all small businesses. So the idea of hashtags, I think, worked really well when social media just started. You know, like people were able to discover other people through a hashtag. But if you think about how you use Instagram, I don't type in hashtags and surf to try to discover people, right? We have so little time in the day. I use social media by scrolling. Most likely you do too. So I don't think that having like 30 or more hashtags is going to serve you. In fact, that is going to probably not be a great look. I think that as someone who uses Instagram a lot, when I see someone attaching a ton of hashtags to their photos, it seems disingenuous to me. It seems like you are trying to get followers, and that just doesn't have the right feeling as a user and as a customer and potential client. So don't go with a lot of hashtags. You mentioned a hashtag strategy with unique markets. We always tag our photos with hashtag unique markets. Obviously, that is our own hashtag. We own it. It's something that we want to encourage other people to use, and they do. So I don't think that like trying to attach yourself to using like hashtag pink is going to help. No one is surfing pink and they're going to discover you that way. You want to do hashtags. You probably want to keep it to 5 or less, and you really should come up with your own hashtag that represents you and your company, because that's what eventually your community and your fans are going to start using.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are asking, it's Hello Alice that Sonja was talking about, which is a great research, which is where a lot of these questions came from. And for those of you just tuning in, if you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, or freelancer creative, we have Sonja Rasula here, who's the founder and CEO of Unique Markets. She's an incredible resource. So please ask your questions and I will be sure to get them answered by her. Okay. Mexican food catering company to attempting to deliver food weekly and host virtual cooking demos. However, we aren't having much luck engaging customers. Do you have advice on how we can use Instagram to help? So obviously the food industry hugely hit through this whole COVID-19 crisis. What advice do you have? I mean, for this company specifically, but also just for food vendors in general, and restaurant owners who are struggling.
Yeah, I think it's smart that this person pivoted and is trying to do what they can to continue to bring revenue in. I think that the thing that you need to do is think about how you're using Instagram. So I have gone to a lot of different, a lot of different feeds for all the small business owners. And I think it's really interesting because within this last 2 months, all of these articles, all the media is talking about everyone that's using like IG Live, which is what we're doing now. But what happens is the small business owner hears that, who doesn't have a lot of social media experience, and they're like, oh my God, I got to do an IG Live. And so a lot of the food industry and restaurants and people are doing these IG Lives, but they're not taking the extra step to save the video and then share it on IGTV. So the reason I mention this is because the person who asked the question that you're talking about, I went and looked and there was no record of any cooking demos. And I think it's really important to keep in mind that when people discover you and visit your Instagram account, you want to give them value and you want to inspire them and bring a smile to their face. It's not about shoving your product or your service down their throat. And so cooking demos, this person was on the right track. They were doing cooking demos. They were just doing them live and then letting them disappear after 24 hours. So I would say you should keep doing cooking demos, which is such a great added value for customers around the world. But make sure to post them and put them on IGTV so people can discover them. And it's going to help your business in the long run, because not only are people discovering those videos this week and next week, but 6 months from now and a year from now. And so that's helping to build your community for sure.
Yeah, maximizing the use of these lives and the video content that you're creating and that people are consuming. Because right now we're live, but at the end of the day, if someone's not online at 12:42 p.m.,
yeah,
they miss this. So I think that that's really incredible advice for sure. So do you currently outsource your social media, and can you recommend a freelancer and share how much I should pay them to manage social media?
Yeah, I love this question. It's like, good for you. Just let's talk about money. So we do not outsource social media. And currently, because a lot of my team is actually furloughed, I'm doing the social media currently, which probably is I'm not the best person to do it. But like all small business owners, I'm just trying to keep up with what I can during this kind of pandemic. I would say you could use services like Upwork to find freelancers. That's what we've always done. The question about money is really interesting because people don't talk about real life prices enough. And so then people are like, should I pay them $100 an hour? Should I pay them $50? Here's the thing. I think that when it comes to a social media manager, you should probably be paying something in the range of like $35 to $45. You want them to be able to prove results. This is really important. So I would say what you could potentially do is find a freelancer that you like using a service like Upwork, for instance, and have them work for you for a month and say like, so this is the rate we're going to do for a month, but I need you to prove that you are increasing followers. I'd like to see more engagement. Figure out what the goals are that you want. And then once that person has done that for a month, then you can say, okay, now we're entering phase 2 and I'm going to start paying you this. I just think that too many small business owners, because they don't know what to do, they think the most expensive person is going to be the best. And it's like, the most expensive people aren't going to have time for you. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're great at their jobs either. I think like a $35 to $45 range is great, but it does nothing for you or your company if you haven't established goals and a clear way for results.
Absolutely. And another fun hack is, for instance, my sister's a wedding photographer, and obviously there's not a lot of weddings happening right now, but one of the things she's doing is working with small businesses to have them send their product to her, and she'll shoot social media content for them. So obviously, to your point, your grid, like what it looks like, what it feels like, is hugely important. And there's a lot of photographers out of work right now. So I think it's a great time to leverage a photographer to help with your vision and what it looks like, and then also someone to help manage the community. So someone asked, is that $35 to $45 per hour? Is that what you were?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And again, this is another one of those things for small business owners. who might not know, like, how many hours should I be paying per week? Again, it's all down to the results that you want and what you want to happen on your Instagram account. So if you want to post one post every day, that's 7 times a week, figure out what that hourly amount is. But again, like, it should not take someone a full hour to do a post, right? So I think that, like, in this day and age of COVID and everyone's at home, I feel like, 10 hours a week maximum, maybe even 5 hours to start is good.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have this question. I really like fresh discovery. I really want people to be discovering my platform. Do you recommend using someone like Fiverr for something like that? Are you familiar with Fiverr?
This is hilarious because I did a live yesterday where we talked about Fiverr and I had never heard of it. I'll be honest.
Enlighten us. Yeah, no, I've heard of it too. But there's a lot of different platforms out there that you can use where you can be like a discovery engine for different social. I think one of the things is using partnerships, which you can talk about. It's like, how can you use partnerships? Like you said, you did a live yesterday where you're joining other people's Instagram, bringing your knowledge to the table. What advice do you have for people who are looking for partnerships like that to grow their community?
Yeah, I think that people need to look to their own community. Everyone thinks like they have these stars where they're like, I need that one celebrity or that one influencer to like catapult me into stardom. No, not necessarily. I think that if you are a jewelry designer, some of the best places to look are within your own peer group. So if you are a jewelry designer somewhere and there's another jewelry designer that you really respect across the country, to do a live with them would be great because you are now utilizing both of your communities. Their community knows about you and vice versa. That's one way to build community and get new followings. The other way, of course, is using giveaways and contests. And that's always fun because, again, you can kind of like curate all of your favorite small business owners together and then do a giveaway together. But again, the act of doing that is one thing, but you need results, which means everyone who takes part has to agree that they're going to post X amount of times, that they're going to make sure to tag the photos with everyone participating, that they're going to comment and make sure to have everyone tagged in that comment. I feel like sometimes people come up with these ideas, but then the execution isn't great. So you've got to come up with the idea and then make sure that at the end of the day, all of the people that you're collaborating with are knowing that you are at XYZ on Instagram.
Yeah, it takes effort, but I think in the current climate, if you can do something for free that's going to help your business, it's kind of worthwhile. So I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about events and pop-ups. So if you want to share a little bit about what Unique Markets does, that would be awesome. And then talk about the future of the events industry and where you sort of see it, coming back, not coming back differently. I know we've talked about this quite a bit.
Yeah, so my company, Unique Markets, is the largest company in America to create curated pop-up indoor marketplaces. And so we only do them 3 times a year, which is kind of crazy. So 3 weekends a year, we create these massive pop-up markets with hundreds of independent designers and artists selling at them. And then thousands of shoppers come in and discover great local independent businesses, emerging brands that are about to be huge. And so it's really, really great. Obviously, it's all in person. So when this happened, we realized we were probably not going to do events for the rest of the year. I can now say with 100% certainty, we will not be doing events for the rest of the year. And to be perfectly honest, when I think about the events industry, and so it's not just the industry that I'm in, it's like your sister who does wedding photography, it's weddings, it's concerts, it's museums, it's food festivals, it's fairs in the summer. There's so many companies that are built on experiences, including yours. And I don't think that as a business owner, it would be responsible for me to gather and organize large groups of people. So 2020 is out for us. My prediction is that at some point in 2021, we may be able to start gathering, but I think that, a real honest conversation is we don't know if it'll be safe and healthy to do that. And so I think that, again, as a responsible business owner, I'm okay with stepping back, taking some time, either pivoting and going online or just pausing, because then you're not spending money. All of the money in our bank account is there. And when we're allowed to come back, and yes, that's going to be in 2021, then we'll be ready.
Yeah, it's crazy times, and I think that's a very interesting approach. And I think, you're right. Like, it's also the unknown. Like, it's, as CEOs and founders, we're used to control and making our own decisions and feeling good about what we're doing. But like, this is truly the unknown. So yeah. I think it'll be really interesting. And I think the good news is everyone in our industry is super creative and really passionate, and so smart, and like, will come to the table, I think, even bigger and better after the fact. So please ask your questions below. We only have like a few minutes left. I definitely want to get to these. But I also want to talk about, like you said, pivoting. So right now, a lot of companies like yourself are pivoting to digital. What advice do you have for someone who's looking to pivot into digital but doesn't know where to start? Especially, like, for instance, people that are vendors at the unique market, like have an e-com business that's pretty small, or like relies on retail or relies on wholesale accounts. Like, what advice do you have for them to get going?
Yeah, so most people watching now probably already have a website, right? I would like to think that they have a website. So I would say you really need to be self-critical in this moment. And I say that because time is something that is so precious. We always complain about not having enough of it. And yet what this atmosphere has created is a lot of extra time. So if you are not having a lot of sales, and so you're not spending those hours packing and shipping out product, you really need to take this time to then self-evaluate your website and your social media. And that's going to do so much for your business. So I have a podcast, SOS with Sonja Rasula. We're recording season 2 now. And so many of the episodes are about this exact same thing, where people have websites, but they built them years ago and have never updated them. And it's kind of atrocious, the websites that I see, to be perfectly honest. I deal with thousands of small business owners. So my best advice is for people to go to their websites, analyze your homepage. Your homepage is the front cover of a magazine. When you're at the grocery store, there is a very specific reason, and there is a science to why your eye goes towards the magazines that you feel compelled to pick up. Your homepage is that fantastic beauty photo right at the top of your homepage. And then, like, how are you telling your story? How are you illustrating your products? I want you to go to the brands that you love, go to their websites and learn from them. Like, the one thing we can learn from all the corporations that are out there, like, they have web designers, they have strategists. Learn from that money that they've spent for their brand. And how can you apply beautiful web design and site architecture to your website? Because a lot of the small businesses that I go to now, their websites just feel very dated, and first impression is everything.
So true. That is such a great idea. Look at your favorite websites and see what they're doing and figure out how you can do that as well. So we had a question from Alex Cole Studio. What's better to post how-to videos on, IGTV or YouTube?
That is a really good question. We debate this all the time in the office. I'll be honest with you. We have put all of our time and energy into Instagram, but I do believe that they are completely different audiences. I have a lot of Gen Z workers and employees, and they aren't on Instagram, which shocks me, but they're not. They watch and consume everything on YouTube. So I think that it's actually two different audiences, and there's no reason why you can't record some great how-to videos and post them in multiple places. So I would say do both. Yeah,
why not? Okay, another question from Denise Soto. What social media strategies do you recommend for pre-launching products?
Yeah, okay, well, first get an account. Hopefully you can get your name and your business name. I would say again, people create Instagram accounts and they never take the time to create like a style guide. So I think the most important thing for you to do, especially if you're in pre-launch phase, is to think about who you are, what you represent, and who you want to attract. And once you know those things, you need to come up with a deck. Yes, this means you're going to have to do nerdy work and create a presentation, but you need to create who you want to hit. And once you know that, start thinking about style. So what colors, what are the tones that you're going to use? If you're going to use pictures with quotes and fonts on them, what one font are you going to use? There needs to be consistency. So Google style guide, social media style guide, and you'll find a lot of great results. Do that first. And then I'd say start posting and just start filling that feed with content.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a question. I'm currently a multi-versatile creative and currently in the process of revamping and rebranding myself, which I think it's a great time to do that. What would you recommend in being consistent on all platforms throughout?
What would you recommend in being consistent?
Being consistent on all platforms.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so you're rebranding. So it's a smart time to rebrand, to be perfectly honest. But I think you have to think before you start applying the rebrand to your various social media accounts and to your website, you really need to figure out what it is that you want to say. I just talked to someone yesterday and they do way too many things. And so it was like, I coach, I do this, I have a product line, I have a podcast, and I have an app. And I was just like, you're like too all over the place. I think that you can, there's no reason why anyone can't be multi-hyphenate and like a slasher. I'm one of those people, you're one of those people, but you really need to concentrate on one or two things because it's confusing to the audience when they go to a social media profile or they go to a website and it's like, look, I do everything. It's like you want to focus them in on the one or two things.
Totally agree. Okay, last question. What do you think if I want to do an interior design course? I assume you're an interior designer for my audience. Not sure if I should do it for free or a small amount of money.
Ooh, I love this question.
Good question.
Yeah. So depending on who your audience is, you may have people who are actual interior designers and could use help because everyone starts at different levels. Or you may just have fans. And so I personally think that any sort of online class is great when you can charge because then it creates passive income, which is great, especially right now. So I would say, I think that you need to charge. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't be doing really fun, free IGTVs, post free content, and maybe start with that very first class being free so you have an audience and they can get something from it. Then they will give you reviews that you can use as testimonials. So potentially you could start free, but I honestly don't like the idea of discounting yourself or your services or your expertise. So I would say, personally, I think that you should charge and then start to promote it and start to see the dollars come in and you're worth every penny.
Totally agree. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to Mastercard's live Priceless Conversations, real talk, real action with Sonja Rasula. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. We will be posting this to IGTV and YouTube and all the things. So it will be everywhere. So you guys will be able to watch this again. And join me next week with Bone and Bo, host of CNBC's Cleveland Hustle, to discuss ways to ensure your customers will be there when you're ready to open. He is incredible. So ask your questions on the online forum. And don't forget to join Hello Alice Business for All community by visiting the Hello Alice website, and you can just ask all your questions there. And I look forward to seeing you guys. And thank you again for such a fantastic session. Again, this will be on our IGTV in case you missed it. Thanks, Sonja.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.